When you think of Como, you think of villas on the lake, you think of fancy boats, maybe you think of James Bond. But for the first time in a long time, you can now think of a Serie A club, as Como 1907 made it back into Italy's top flight after a 21-year absence. And with the market they've had so far, including the signing of Raphael Varane, it's clear that their incredibly rich owners are looking to build something great. With both Thierry Henry and Cesc Fabregas involved in the project as well, Fabregas in particular has taken on the role of head coach, but helps iron out every detail from nutrition to training equipment. So, who are these owners who have suddenly catapulted Como to the wealthiest club in Italy? What drew Fabregas and Henry to the project, and will they be a new Serie A mainstay or bounce around like Venezia? While the first football match to be played in Como was in 1906, the Como Football Club was only founded in May of 1907. Their early history didn't see them catapult to greatness right away. They were a slow builder. They made it to Serie A for just the second time in their history in 1975, but were relegated immediately and would free fall for a few seasons. But at the end of the 70s, they would get consecutive promotions from Serie C all the way to Serie A and would then become kind of a yo-yo club for the next couple of decades. Clearly, Como has had difficulties in putting together strong sporting projects that last, with their top finish in Serie A being 6th way back in the 1940s, and their most successful run in Serie A being in the 1980s, when they stuck around for 5 seasons. Their most recent return to Serie A was for the 2002-2003 season, but once again, they were immediately relegated. Crowd violence in the stadium would see a stadium ban be put into effect and would continue the downfall of Como, not just sporting-wise, but in general. Como was liquidated due to financial mismanagement, with the Phoenix Club having to restart down in the bowels of Italian football and make their way back up. In fact, that wasn't the end of their issues, as they were once again in financial trouble and put up for auction during the 2016-17 season. They would change hands a couple of times over the next 2 years, eventually ending up in the care of the Hartono family. More on them in a second. Como was in Serie D during the 2018-19 season, but won promotion to Serie C, and coupled with the new ownership, began their rise up the Italian football pyramid. Italian forward Alessandro Gabrieloni joined Como in 2018 when they were in Serie D, the 4th tier of Italian football, and is still with them to this day, becoming a legend of the club. In speaking to The Athletic about what playing for Como was like back then versus now, he said, quote, "We're talking about 2 different worlds, 2 different clubs. When I joined in 2018, we didn't have a pitch to train on. We trained a bit at Ponte Lambro on artificial surfaces, awful pitches. There was nothing. Some months we went unpaid. I came from playing down south where at least the weather was always nice. I don't think it stopped raining in the first month I moved here. At the time, I was like, ugh, it's amazing how everything has changed." And that change is down to the aforementioned Hartono family. Clove cigarettes. Those cigarettes that your friend tried to convince you like, hey man, no, they aren't real cigarettes, they're clove cigarettes, they aren't bad for you. Those cigarettes are how the Hartono family, the owners of Como 1907, made their fortune. The Hartono family are the owners of the Indonesian clove cigarette manufacturing company called Jarum. And they are worth so much money, estimated to be at about, just $48 billion. Far and away the richest owners in Serie A, the most minted club, and worth more than Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Stan Kroenke, and Todd Boehly combined. The Hartonos immediately brought some professionalism and legitimacy to Como as they began developing the club in a way that hadn't been seen before, or at least for some time. They brought on former Chelsea and England player Dennis Wise as a sporting director and technical consultant for the club. He's now taken on an advisory role at the club. Thierry Henry bought a stake in the club in 2022, and when Cesc Fabregas joined Como in 2022 from Monaco, he also received a stake in the club, with a plan for him to go on to have a much greater role in the growth of Como 1907. By the way, Fabregas eased into retirement the right way, didn't he? He went from Chelsea to AS Monaco for a few years and then wrapped things up while living in Como. Quality of life from Monaco to Como just through the roof. Anyway, Fabregas played just a single season with Como, the 2022-23 season, of which he made just 17 appearances for the club before retiring. From there, as per the plan from the beginning, Fabregas transitioned straight into a coaching role, taking on the Como Primavera, the U19 squad. Fabregas was thrust into the head coaching role of the senior team just months after taking the reins of the Primavera, after Moreno Longo was sacked in November of 2023. They went their separate ways. However, since Fabregas hadn't yet received his coaching badges, he was only allowed to manage the first team for 1 month. So, as a caretaker, Welsh manager, and the man who was overseeing Fabregas' UEFA education, Ocean Roberts was brought in, while Fabregas became his assistant for the first team. However, the intention was always for Fabregas to take control of the first team eventually, as belief in him as a manager for the future is great. It's easy to understand why, right? As Fabregas certainly falls into the category of the players that seem like a natural fit for management. Roberts himself has spoken highly not only of Fabregas' knowledge of football and tactics and how to effectively get his ideas across to his squad, but of how well he has handled being more of a manager than just a head coach. As Roberts has said to The Athletic, quote, "He has that work ethic. He puts in long hours. He doesn't do less than his staff. He does more. At this stage, with this club, I don't know how he does it. He's involved in everything, whether it's appointing the head chef or ordering the mini goals, whatever it might be. He's involved, which is great. You'd think as a novice coach, it would be difficult for him to have his finger in every pie, but he copes with it and he's efficient at doing it. Where the danger could be that something slips, it's not the case. He's pretty special in that way." All those years of masterminding midfield engine rooms for some of Europe's biggest clubs has clearly led to Fabregas being able to multitask well, helping not just with the first team, but the actual development of the club as a whole. Yes, they now have their own brand new training pitch and clubhouse thanks to the financial power of their owners and the guidance from the likes of Fabregas, Henry, and Wise. When Roberts took over as caretaker manager on December 20th, 2023, and with Fabregas at his side as his assistant, Como continued on their great form that Fabregas had started during his 1-month tenure starting in November. Under Roberts and Fabregas' guidance, Como went on to win 12 matches, draw 6, and lose just 3, solidifying their place in second and achieving automatic promotion to Serie A behind Parma on May 10th, 2024.
And it is Como's greatest night.
The season prior, Como had finished in 13th in Serie B. Under Fabregas and Roberts, Como went from a defensive-minded, deep-lying team to dominating play much further up the pitch. And now that he has his badges, Fabregas will take the reins as the first-team head coach for this coming season. He's an assistant, no more. Patrick Cutrone, who is from Como, had lost himself slightly in football, become a little bit disillusioned with it, with the death of his father complicating his relationship with the sport further. But when he had the chance to return home to Como and represent his now modernized local club, he jumped at the opportunity. Cutrone had one of the best seasons in his career last season. As a strike partner to the aforementioned Gabrieloni, Cutrone scored 14 and assisted 5, scoring important goals en route to Serie A promotion. A great improvement on the 9 goals and 2 assists from the season prior, as he looks to play as more of a second striker or advanced playmaker rather than an out-and-out striker or number 9. In that position, Fabregas has brought in another player that he is looking to revitalize, Andrea Belotti, purchased from AS Roma for 4.5 million euros. Gabriel Strefezza, who was integral to Lecce's return to Serie A last season, was brought to Como in January of 2024, and his move was made permanent this summer. There are others as well who have joined the project, experienced Serie A talents, and in some cases, experienced Champions League winners such as Raphael Varane. Should he stay healthy, which is the big question, his leadership and experience will be integral to Fabregas, as he will be yet another coach on the pitch for the rest of the squad and will help to lift the standards of the club. Pepe Reina joined on a free transfer, as did Alberto Moreno, completing the hat-trick of accomplished older heads in the squad. But they've added young talents as well, such as the exciting Iraqi attacker Ali Jassim. Due to their wealthy owners and their financial might, Como has been accused of being a plastic club like Sassuolo by some Serie A enjoyers. Though it should be noted, they haven't exactly broken the bank, right? Varane, Reina, Moreno, and Jassim were all free transfers. Of course, no transfer is ever free with signing bonuses and salaries. While they have spent a total of 35 million euros across 8 other signings. Como isn't looking to fast-track success. We've seen newly minted clubs go for broke, pun intended, with big name signings only to fall off and the project to fail. Fabregas has spoken about how early in their life cycle as a club Como is, saying, quote, "It's very early days. What I have in mind where this club can be, you wouldn't believe it. There is a lot of work to be done. I share the same thoughts and vision as the owners, and it's very big what we want to do, where we want to go, and this requires time." Not just finances, but time. There are question marks, of course, as Fabregas is unproven as a manager, but it's fair to say that Como 1907 certainly has some good pieces in place. Wealthy owners, good football brains in coaching and advisory roles, and plenty of interest in the club that will continue to grow if they are able to stay in Serie A for a sustained period of time. If anything, they're one of the more interesting newcomers to Serie A in some time. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and thank you for sticking around while I took some time off to recharge for this season ahead. If you enjoyed this video and you're new to the channel, do be sure to go ahead and subscribe, but other than that, I'll see you guys next week for another video. Take care.